In this presentation, we'll be talking about starting an HTML document in Dreamweaver. When you start Dreamweaver, you should see a welcome screen that looks just like the one that we have open right now. Take a look at this screen and notice that there's an option to open a recent document. There are also options to create a new document. And there's also something called Top Features, which is a bunch of video tutorials that Adobe has put out for you. I recommend finishing this Dreamweaver course and perhaps even taking our advanced Dreamweaver course before you get really in-depth on some of those video tutorials, because for most of them, you'll need a basic knowledge of Dreamweaver to really get the most out of those tutorials. Now let's go ahead and get started with creating our HTML page. There are a few ways that you can create a new HTML page in Dreamweaver. One way is to use the Create New option on the welcome screen. You can simply click on the HTML button and that will create a new HTML page for you. You could also come up to File and click on New. This will also create a new document for you. Or you could click Ctrl+N. I'll go ahead and click on New. Notice that this pop-up window gives us options for creating our new document. Over here on the left-hand side of this window are options for using different templates. There are different page types that you can create. You also have options for the layout of your page, and you also have options for the doc type. We'll talk about some of these options later on, but for right now, let's go ahead and leave the default settings and just click Create. So now we have our page open, and before we do anything with that page, I'd like to talk a little bit about the layout that you're seeing right now. You'll notice that you have some panels over on the right-hand side of the screen, and we're going to talk about those in a little more detail shortly. But for right now, just remember that you have panels over on that side of the screen that give you several options for laying out your page. The layout that you're seeing right now and those panels that are displayed are part of the designer layout. There are several different layouts that you can use in Dreamweaver. To see all of the different layouts, go ahead and click on this drop-down menu. If you're curious about these different layouts, you can feel free to go ahead and click through them. We'll be using the designer layout for this course, so make sure that the designer layout is checked off. If it's not, go ahead and click on designer. Dreamweaver also gives us several options for editing the document. One option is to use the code view. That actually displays the code that is written to create your page. So, if I were to add in text, I would actually need to add in the HTML tags in order for anything that I create to be displayed. Don't worry about this view though, because we won't generally be using it for this course. We will be working within the design view. Now notice that the design view will display the same text that I want to add to my page, but I don't need to add in any code. It basically works like a word processor. So, as I add in text, I don't need to think too much about the code. One other option is the split view. And this view will allow you to see both the code view and the design view at the same time. This can be really helpful and can help you to understand what code is being added to your website. We'll talk about this a little bit later on, but we'll primarily be using the design view, so make sure that you've clicked on the design view and that's the view that you're seeing. The major advantage to the design view is that it's really a what you see is what you get view. So basically everything that we're creating, it's going to look very similar on a web page. Now, in this presentation, you've seen me open up an HTML page in Dreamweaver and you've seen me type some text onto that page. Believe it or not, starting your HTML page within Dreamweaver is just that simple.